Well, hello, Michelle. Welcome to AllIntent. Welcome to the Big Tent.
Thank you for having me, Margaret.
Well, we're delighted to have you here today. Um, as you know, AllIntent is a place for sharing and learning and growing for all of us in the DEI and B community in insurance. And you are quite a force out there, Michelle, in DEI and B. Would you tell us a little bit about your role at QBE North America?
Sure. So Michele Lamarre, and my official title is I'm VP Head of Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging for QBE North America. I've been in this role for about 3 years. And just to give a little bit of background, so within this is the first of this role in North America. So we having a person dedicated to inclusion of diversity here for North America. And so within that role, it has really been to establish that foundation and build this practice in terms of what that strategy looks like for our workforce, our workplace, and within our community.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, bravo to QBE and to you.
Thank
And
you.
let's play with that a little bit, Michelle. Thinking about DEI and B today in the insurance industry. What does that mean to you? What does that look like? What does it feel like?
Yeah,
What's your spirit, your mission? Give us what's going on in your head.
sure, sure. So I've been in the insurance industry now for about, I'd say, 10 years. So prior to QBE, I was at AIG. And so most of my background has been in banking. And so I think to, financial services and mostly really banking and looking at what does DI and B look like in terms of these two areas. And so, though I feel that's, I came banking, it has been a practice that been in place, very active for, years. I don't think insurance is that far from it. I don't really separate the two in the sense that I think we're all in this together, no matter really the industry. And when I think about insurance specifically, yes, it is an industry whereby it is very relational, relationship building in terms of how you get in terms of, moving up in that sense. And so those from underserved communities, for the most part, are not really aware of this as a true industry and understanding the career path one can take within that. So that is, I think, something that may be different than perhaps banking, because banking can be considered to be more of that sexy industry. And so I think that part may be something where I'd say insurance is a little bit different in terms of that perception. But other than that, I do think it is under the umbrella of diversity, inclusion, and belonging that we're all, whichever industry, we're all aligning and working towards the same path in the sense of representation, but also ensuring that belonging piece once you're in the industry.
I couldn't agree with you more, Michelle. I think there is so much opportunity when we can cross-pollinate, when we can learn from other industries, other
Absolutely.
sectors,
Yeah.
and insurance can share a lot of what we've done on our journey, but we can learn a lot from other
Mhm.
sectors. So thank you for joining insurance, and we're going to keep you here.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing at QBE today. Can you talk to us about one of your exciting, actionable initiatives that you perhaps can give us some insights on and we can learn and grow from?
Sure. So I don't, it's not necessarily, and I think with most things, no one's reinventing the wheel. It's not rocket science. And so but one of the things I'm really proud of at QBE is around our early career programs. And again, nothing new. Many organizations have internship programs, underwriting programs. But I'm really proud of this at QBE in the sense that we've built this program where it is truly a program. And so QBE North America has had interns in the past. This is not new, but really making sure that the experience that these college students are receiving, especially also reaching out to those perhaps that insurance, again, as I alluded to earlier, that it's not an industry perhaps that's on their radar. And hey, let me check this out and see what insurance is about. Let me see what this Australian-based insurance company is like, what that culture looks like. And so I'm proud of that program because we did go out to various schools to start talking about what an internship can look like at QBE, ensuring that we're looking at a diverse population of students, and regardless of the dimension of diversity, whether that be gender, ethnicity, and race, and as well as various disciplines and majors that these students are studying, and bringing them in for this 10-week program, and having a showcase at the end. And also because QBE is a fairly flat organization, it does provide our interns and those that are entering the underwriting program a better opportunity to really talk to our senior leadership, have an opportunity to talk to our CEO, whereby if it is what would have been a much larger organization, I think that would be very difficult. It probably would have just happened maybe once as a welcome, as opposed to, just walking down the hall or just reaching out to these senior leaders via a Teams chat. And that's happening much more. And the interns are fantastic. We have such a great group of students, and super impressive, and excited about the underwriting program where they are in our Sun Prairie, Wisconsin office for a year. And then from that point on, they will decide where they will be within our various areas within regions within QBE. But I'm really proud of that program because of the really intentional focus around diversity, really intentional focus around ensuring that they feel included.
That's wonderful and so great to hear. Building the talent pipeline is something we need to do as an industry. You're doing it and you're actionable, you're focused around it, the intention. And I'm going to say the humanity.
Absolutely.
Bringing the personal touch, the human touch is so important. I feel like that's one of our great silver linings in this post-COVID environment is people love the humanity. They
Yeah.
love that personal touch. It makes a difference. We don't want that to go away. And I think it is really important to the interns and Gen Z, but it's also very important to all of us, as we go forward. So
Absolutely.
big applause, Michele. I think that we'd all be very interested in hearing about the success stories. Like what's going to happen to these interns next as they develop their careers. Wouldn't it be great? Well, we'll get them on AllIntent, that's for sure, Michele, to
Great.
tell their stories and, the formative, experiences, right? The camaraderie, the community that you're
Yeah.
creating with all of them and their lessons learned. And thank you so much for this. I think we're hearing a lot about organizations and insurance and beyond who are really putting a big emphasis on emerging talent
Yeah.
and not starting just at college level, but into the high school, into the
Yeah.
junior high and middle
Yeah.
school. So we start to socialize. What is insurance?
Absolutely.
Insurance, we say, we've laughed for years, insurance isn't the sexiest business. And I've
Right.
I've laughed about that. And I've said, you know what? Let's be who we are. Insurance is good. Insurance is noble. Insurance makes a difference in the world. And when I talk to students from middle school all the way into college, we talk about the pandemic, we talk about climate risk, we talk about making a difference in financial wellness
Mhm.
for people, the holistic cycle of life. The light bulbs go off.
Right,
I
right.
get these big smiles.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
there. We just have to get out there on a grassroots basis, which is
absolutely.
exactly what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And thank you. So
Yeah.
let's take it back to the insurance industry because we've been hoping and being very focused and saying, how can we move this needle? How can we accelerate? How can we advance? You know, we've been at this for more than 10 years, and
Mhm.
we know that insurance is still lagging. We know we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
You know, in your mind and in your heart, Michelle, what can we do more of? What can we do better at?
I think the word is really having that intentionality. And because it isn't something, oh, I'll get to it. It really needs to be something, an area of focus whereby, whatever the industry, whatever the role and or meaning your role within the organization, that you're really intentional about talking about your in this insurance industry as to what do you do. I mean, we tell the interns when we go on campus, you really can't do anything without insurance. It's an industry that's it's the fabric of everything that we do. And so, when you put it in those terms and giving different examples of whatever you end up doing in your life, how important and needed insurance is, that's another way of, bringing that light bulb, and having them really think about, oh, I didn't really think about it when I thought insurance. It's, the salesperson, car insurance, benefits. Yes, that it is those things, but that's not the only thing in terms of insurance. And again, it really doesn't matter what your background is. There's a place for you. And so in terms of that, the insurance industry and what we're doing, I think it's that intentionality going to, in terms of the building the pipeline, from high school, as said, up until college, and going out and speaking to those students. I think it's just even talking to people at a cocktail hour and talking to them about what you do in insurance, and how important that is in this, in the world, really. And it's also, I think, where, it's a grassroots effort, but it's also, in terms of the, top down approach, whereby you're really looking at your leadership team, your direct reports, and thinking about who's missing, whose perspectives am I not getting? Are we continuing to do things exactly how we've done them before? Is that how we want to continue going forward? And how are we going to get those new ideas? And to get those new ideas is to bring in new thoughts. And so those new thoughts have to come from diverse people.
I I couldn't agree more. And I would say, Michelle, this is a moment. You know, this
Yeah.
is a moment to be bold and to be provocative and to reimagine. This is our time, and to
Yeah.
ask those questions and to pose them and to get answers and to
Yeah.
use voices, you know, for the good and the change. That's what, you know, we do here at All Intent
Mhm.
and with all of our community organizations in DEI and B, locking arms, as I said, you know, pivoting and learning from each other and welcoming each other in and celebrating great work like what you're
Yeah.
doing at QBE. That's what we all need to do. And you know, for all of us, you know, I think that there's opportunities to volunteer and to get involved. So I'm going to do a shameless plug, everybody. At the Women in Insurance Initiative, a Million Women Mentor STEM Connector, we are launching a brand new committee called the DEIB Catalyst Committee. This is a group that is all about action, all about giving actionable ideas, advice, and programs to everyone in the insurance industry. So we welcome you all to join. Raise your hands. We need your heads, your hands, your hearts to make this difference. And we're excited about it. We were inspired to do this, Michele, as a result of the congressional study that was done in 2021. And it was groundbreaking. The words that came out of that study, the graphics that came out of the study, it's important to know the
Yeah.
data. It really is.
Absolutely.
And then it's what you do with the data.
Yes.
So now we know we can go forward. We have a picture, and we have a very graphic picture of where we're at and how can we create change. So this is what the action is all about. You're doing it, we're doing it, and we're all doing it together. Couple of last wrapping up comments, Michele, because you are just inspirational, but you're actionable. And I love that. I really do. You're inspiring. What advice do you have for early career professionals, those just starting their career? What would you say to them to distinguish themselves, to differentiate, to really catapult their career as they get started?
Yeah. Thank you, Margaret. I think it's, using your voice. And when I say using your voice, it's asking questions, when you are, especially in your an early career, the expectation is not that you know everything, but I think you stand out by asking questions, by people hearing how you're thinking about things and putting things together, understanding the work that you're doing. How does that fit into your organization's priorities? How does that fit in terms of your customer base? And asking those questions, I think that's how you really do stand out, because those that you are asking those questions, you then stop and think, oh, this person is really thinking about what they're doing. They're really being thoughtful in the, in their thought process. And also just in terms of using your voice to say, hey, I don't have the answer, but this doesn't seem quite right. Maybe there's some other way of doing, of achieving this goal. Maybe let's start thinking about another path. Again, infusing more of that new perspective, more innovation to lead to better solutions, better problem solving.
Amen to that. I always tell women and men alike, we have to have all the voices in the room.
Yeah.
We have to shake things up. We can't wait. We can't sit back. We have to lean in. We have to make that difference. And even if it's uncomfortable, but say, do it. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Take your moment, take your shot, say yes, say yes, say yes.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen until you do that.
Yeah.
So as we close here today, Michele, I always like to ask you for a word of wisdom or words of wisdom, a piece of advice, a mantra that you carry with you as you go forward in doing the great work that you do every day. Would you share yours with us?
Yes, I will. And I think it goes back to some of the advice in terms of the early career program, or entrance, is in the sense of, is there anything more? Is there someone more or is someone missing? And I think that's something that I think about, whether I'm on a Teams call and I'm looking at all the screens as to who's in the virtual room, or in person in a meeting. Who else is missing? Who's a voice, perhaps? Hey, we didn't hear from this particular person, and I think they could probably provide some another way of thinking. And also, the other thing I think about is, am I really providing my authentic and true self, and being really when I'm present in the room, or is, because I think we need to also think about how are we contributing to the culture, and are we continuing to proliferate this culture that we've always seen and feel that that's the right thing to do, or are we really being true to who we are, and really contributing to the culture with that difference. And so that's what I think about, and I question that after meetings. And if I feel that wasn't truly who I am, I think, whether that's using your voice physically, but whatever you're comfortable with, sending out an email, calling the person, whatever the case may, whatever you feel you're comfortable doing in terms of communicating, I think that's what's needed. And that's what really changes things around.
Thank you for that, Michele. And you gave me a moment to reflect, and I think you gave all of us a moment to reflect. So I'm going to give you something that's always in my head and my heart. My grandma Margaret used to say this, and I think you'll appreciate this. Do your best, do everything you can, and now do one more thing. So everybody, let's do one more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing to make a difference, one more thing to accelerate the growth and the change in DEI and B in insurance. And big thanks, big brava to you, Michele, your wonderful team at QBE North America. Thank you for being with us in the tent, sharing, growing, learning. And until next time, everyone, be well, do good, and make a difference. Make a difference every day. Thank you, Michele.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much.